Previously on EdTech Mondays, we explore the EdTech solutions for refugees and host communities.
The refugees in Uganda are part and parcel of the education system, and they are meant to benefit from all the services, including education.
Refugees, we have limited access to scholarship.
I'm glad to inform you that I was also able to start up a business of my own, and all this is coming from here.
Welcome to EdTech Mondays. This edition, we're here to uncover under the subject government and partner readiness for EdTech upscale. There are certain things you're going to learn about, the changes that are not only digitally, what's happening in classrooms, how about startups.
Uganda is one of the youngest countries in the world, with millions of young people depending on education systems that are rapidly evolving. But while digital infrastructure is growing, critical questions remain. Are our systems truly ready for EdTech at scale? Are ministries, innovators, and communities moving in the same direction? And who risks being left behind in Uganda's digital transition? Joining me are three voices helping shape Uganda's EdTech ecosystem. Barbara Mtabaz, an innovation ecosystem practitioner supporting startups and inclusive entrepreneurship through Hive Collab and Uganda's innovation system. Ambrose Ruyoka, acting commissioner for information technology, research and systems development at the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. And Namuyimba Klaus, Mastercard scholar at Makerere University, EdTech mentor and education facilitator working directly with young learners and teachers.
This education sector is currently rapidly evolving as technology becomes central to learning, teaching, and skills development, while the country continues to expand internet and digital infrastructure. Major gaps remain in meaningful access, inclusion, affordability, and implementation. EdTech Mondays coming your way as brought to you by the Mastercard Foundation, the Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning, this edition, May 2026. Welcome to the show, and I'll be grateful that you watch up to the end. There is much more that we have to share because my panelists are abreast with some information that is shareable. Our theme of discussion moves from government and partner readiness for EdTech scale up to other points that you might include in your comment section, as this show also runs online and it goes across all our social media platforms. This in partnership with NTV Uganda. Barbara, thanks for allowing to come on the show.
Happy to be here.
How have you been?
Good, very good.
Let's go to what transpired at the end of last month, which was April. As we witnessed, I'm glad I was there, at the first Mastercard Foundation Fellowship, Scholars Fellowship to be particular, and Hive Collab is at the forefront of the same. How is the fellowship moving beyond accelerating into national system integration?
We kicked off with the first cohort of 12 really promising scalable education technology startups with the goal of supporting these young people to scale the impact that they already have to reach at least 1 million learners by the end of 2029. Our goal is to help these young people scale these innovations across different geographies in the country to improve on access, inclusion, affordability, and reach, so that we improve learning outcomes for learners, regardless of where they are, whether they are a PWD or a refugee or in a rural area or an urban area, whether access to internet is limited. How do the education technologies work for all these different realities that that our young people are facing in the country?
Ambrose, as you've just had Barbara's outlining several things that are being put together, how are fellowship startups aligning with government priorities?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. See, I must begin with this statement, say that the government cannot innovate at the pace of startups, but startups cannot roll out without support of the government infrastructure. So, yes, so the startups, we will not give direct support to the startups, but we'll make sure there is an enabling environment through which people who want to reach them can reach them. While we also have our own innovation system that has been set up through the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance and working with regional innovation hubs that are hosted at the different universities. But what we do just complements the private sector efforts. Life Collab has been there 16 years, you can hear, so they have a network, but then they're able to maneuver through because there is a conducive environment in terms of connectivity and the enabling laws and policies that facilitate everyone to be able to reach where they want to reach in terms of scaling up the digital solutions.
Yes, thank you. So, Barbara, if I may come back to you, what challenges prevent startups from scaling nationally?
Quite a number. I would start with building innovations that are not built on realities of the people that they are trying to build for sometimes. Let's say you're building for startups based in a location that doesn't have internet, but your app or whatever you're building is based on a smartphone. And if majority of the people that you're trying to build for or who would ideally consume your solution do not have smartphones, or your solution does not work offline and requires constant internet, which is not everywhere to the people that would utilize your solution, then you're not going to be able to scale meaningfully. But also lack of access. If you do not have partnerships, let's say with government, to allow you into private school, public schools across the country, the school headmasters may not let you in with whatever you have, so you may not be able to scale into those schools. The other one is learning design challenges, where we are building blanket-wise. For example, you're building one solution for every single learner, but not all our learners learn at the same pace, the same way. And so you need to have learning science design in your startup so that whoever you encounter, your startup can serve them. When he was talking about, let's say you're working with PWDs, are they able to, with the different kinds of disabilities that people have, are they able to access and use your innovation? The other one is digital literacy and maybe language barrier, or the content may not be local, or the language is not, the literacy issue, if it's in English, and maybe a young child down in Rwanda is being taught in Runyankwere or Ruchiga, they may not very well use or be able to understand what your startup is offering. And yet the content is good for them if only they understood the language. So there has to be accessibility and affordability of both the internet. So the infrastructure has to be there, and I commend government. They've done a lot on ensuring that almost all parts of Uganda have access to the internet. Electricity is a good percentage, but still innovations can function as long as the internet is there, even if electricity doesn't exist there. Government has done a lot, but now in terms of the communities being able to afford the devices, and if it doesn't work online, can they afford internet? Those are some of the challenges, but also our capital in the country is fragmented. And so a lot of the capital that comes into Uganda comes from abroad, but can we build local capital strongholds, government coming in to fund innovations, private sector coming in to support innovations? And those are some of the things or the gaps that this fellowship is coming to work on. And also data. We have a lot of data, but it's scattered, and it's also not readily available for innovators who are building. So one of the things that the fellowship is also going to be doing is creating a knowledge base for the edtech sector, so that anyone who's building anything in edtech has access to information.
And Klaus, to go back to your engagement with the young people and much of your works, what are some of the challenges that you can outline? You talked about a few in different areas, but can you draw a bigger picture of some of the challenges you're facing?
Yes. The challenges are quite enormous as we reach the different parts of the country. And the major one is the way the community and the other stakeholders, the schools, perceive, first of all, this digital evolution, the perception and the adoption is really shaking in some areas of the country. Then talk about inclusion that stems from the society, because some of the people with disabilities are just literally ignored. They're not given chance to try their potentials. And even as we get them in the different institutions, you realize that even the different stakeholders hold them back. Assume I go to school, I tell them I want to meet, I want us to form an edutech club. I want us to motivate learners to be able to engage in education technology. I want them to come up with projects. I give them the categories of projects, even in line with the CBC, in line with the new curriculum evolution. We tell them, and you realize that a selected number of people without any impairment will be brought to you, and they leave back those with disabilities. But we always tell them a mixture. We give a percentage, girls, boys, then people with disabilities, to create that inclusion. Then talk about language barrier. That is also a major problem, even if still lessons are being conducted in English, but we face, even in some few areas of the country, even in secondary schools, we face it. And that we encourage them not only to adopt English, but also to use softwares. As she said, AI has come to evolutionize a lot of things. We encourage them to use software that can help them bridge that gap. Then there's a big problem where stakeholders don't want to invest in education technology. They have that perception that, for example, I go to the deeper northern part of the area, they have a perception that that is for schools in Kampala.
When you say stakeholders, you're referring to Mr. Ambrose, right?
I'm talking about in schools.
The providers of educational services. You know, also the education sector, it is something that is highly privatized. You have government-funded institutions, and you also have the private-funded institutions. And they actually find that most of the uptake is within the private sector, because for them they can easily roll out. They can easily acquire and roll out. Government is slow at acquiring. That's because we'll go through a budgeting cycle and things like that. But once it's acquired in government, roll out again becomes a little much easier. So when he says stakeholders, I want to believe he's talking about the providers of education systems, both the state actors and the non-state actors.
Ambrose, can you go about the same area? Can you discuss solutions to some of the challenges that startups are facing, especially if they're trying to scale up nationally, with language in consideration, with persons with disabilities, in consideration, with refugees in consideration? For anyone who's never heard this from you, where are these solutions?
So we have different players now that come up with different solutions. For example, for the blind, I know there are applications that people can use for the blind to be able to use on the computer. At our innovation hub in Nakawa, we've just gone through a training. We've trained people on how to use software tools for the blind, just over the past few weeks. Now, for those with hearing impairments, also there are solutions that are available. But issues now is the scale up and adoption is not at a national scale. It is through these initiatives from different partners here and there. So what we need as government, and I think the strategy is there, the agenda is there, is to have a full-blown rollout plan. It's okay. Now we can have an integrated approach through which learning can be 100% digitalized. But that's going to be a journey that we have to walk. But in the meantime, we have to find a way of integrating and also interoperating. If one partner or one vendor brings in an application and one is also doing the other, can the two or three interoperate and within the same framework?
And now, viewers, as we come to this particular area that I did mention about prior, we have a group of young people who have made it to our audience. And we would like to give them an opportunity, if you may allow me, panelists. It could be about a question, it could be about an expression, or agreeing on some of the opinions that you have had. So in the due process, as we go for this particular session, you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen who are part of the audience. Thank you very much for coming and being part of the EdTech session. It's a special one because we have you as a special group, and we are happy that you're here.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Amir Twalib. I'm from School of Liberals and Performing Arts, and I'm also an innovator at Makerere Innovation Technology Center, as well Makerere Incubation and Innovation Center as well. So my first question will go to the Ministry of ICT and Guidance. Now, there is a concern, there have been observations of digital divide. Now, for me, I'm also observing, like there is an innovation divide, like most of the tech or the innovation hubs, they are located or centralized, especially in the city centers. Like they are here in Kampala, there are lots of them. Like me, I come from Arua, where there are few. So my question will be about inclusivity, or else the concern is about geo divide. So what are the steps they are taking to ensure that, like as we develop these innovations, at least, because these innovations, they're about Ugandan realities, and these cultures, they have like different realities. So what are the steps they are taking to ensure that other innovators from other parts of the region are included?
As the Minister of ICT National Guidance, we have a strategy of ensuring that we reach every country in our innovation ecosystem. Now, I can mention that we have regional innovation hubs which we have set up. In Arua, we are at Muni University. In Acholi region, we are at Guru University. We are in Soroti University, Mustema University, and Kabari University. That is for the start. To make sure that at least in every region we have an innovation hub. And we are working through the university system. And amazing things being done there by these young innovators who are in those innovation hubs that are within the university system. At the national one here is here in Nakawa. Find some time, visit our national innovation hub in Nakawa, and so what also you've been there. But so what you are seeing there is that you are trying to replicate in each of those other regions, and we shall later keep expanding it to cover as many areas as possible.
My name is Roland Mawatega. I'm a student of Math and Computer Science. And in this meeting, I've come on behalf of Van Scholar. It's one of the 12 ventures of Wave Collab. With 12 ventures in this fellowship. So how does Wave Collab help each one find its own unique role, especially with roles that overlap?
No, one startup cannot solve or serve the whole market for the challenge. So that's why we may have businesses that are doing a similar thing, but we are also hoping that there's peer learning, that they will learn from each other. Sometimes they could even merge if the innovations that they're building are similar and could help each other. We are hoping that there will be that learning from each other, that co-creation and collaboration amongst them. And we don't believe that one can serve the whole existing market. Yeah, that's why we have similar ones in the market.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Musana Victor. I'm an IT student here at Makerere. I'm also happy to be part of Van Scholar. They have helped me a lot. Basically, my question is about, we are already seeing that teachers already sharing some of their lessons on YouTube, and students are embracing that. Why can't edutechs like learn from what would these edutechs, what can they learn from that they can take and implement? Because we already see students, for us mainly like main IT, when you don't get a lecture, what the lecturer is saying on a coding part, you go to YouTube. these people are not Ugandans, but the content they give relates to us, the Ugandans. How can the edutechs embrace that? Thank you.
See, if you go to the supermarket to buy a bottle of drinking water, in most cases you look for that quality mark by UNBS. So I think what we need to do now is that to put a framework that for the different edtech developers, if you are developing your content or your application and you upload it up in the cloud, maybe we'll need to put a quality mark and say this is certified by body in the Ministry of Education and Sports, and that this content aligns with the national curriculum of the government of Uganda or something like that. So that if a learner is accessing that content, whether online or offline, they are confident that yes, that this content here that I'm reading is aligned to the national curriculum of the government of Uganda. It could be relevant content, but not aligned to your curriculum, to different curriculum of another country or elsewhere. Because it could be physics, but there are many topics in physics. Note that what is taught in Uganda could be different from what is taught in another curriculum or the different level, and then put a standard. Yeah, this is aligned to the national curriculum of the government of Uganda, and it is for this standard, or for senior 1, or for senior 2, or for senior 3. So there is that disclaimer. So if we can have that standard in place, I think to guide also the way we consume this content that is developed by the different edtech setups. Because if you're an edtech, your product is content, basically. So that content of yours, how it's being packaged, who is the target consumer, and who has certified that. I thought that we need to work on together, see that is a benchmark that we can cut across. Yes.
Now, as we come to a close, our theme and conversation dwelling on government and partner readiness for EdTech scale-up. I would like to have a final remarks from our panelists who came through today. And definitely, I always end up with you, Barbara. I will start with Klaus. What's your final remarks as we close, please?
Thanks so much. My final remark is I so appreciate what's transpiring from the Ministry of Education, the channel that it has taken of a new curriculum, and also to see that it's advancing because you realize it has given access to edutech, and it's included actually the curriculum. In the new curriculum, the newly published, you realize edutech has a provision, and so when you reach these institutions, we can be able to integrate education technology in teaching and learning. And the other thing is, I also appreciate so much the MasterCard Foundation for bringing on board this very important program, which is enlightening the nation. Thanks so much.
Yes, that we are committed to ensuring that there is access by everyone that deservedly needs to access, and there's not going to be say this one should access or this one shouldn't access, but our vision is that every citizen, wherever they are, in the next 5 to 10 years should be able to access the digital services, because we are moving towards a digital economy. As you can see that most of the services now are getting online, including education, which is one of the primers that reaches out at all citizens in the country. Thank you.
We're just really excited with the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship, what we are going to be doing in building a national repository for the EdTech technologies across the country to support innovators, even if they don't get into the program. How do we ensure that there's guidance for young people as they build, so that whatever they're building is able to reach the people that they're building for? It is inclusive, it's accessible, it's affordable, and building real based on the realities of the people that they're building for. So that's something we're really excited about, and happy to partner with government and any other public or private sector entities out there.
Thank you very much. Well, as we come to a close, we'd like to thank you for watching up to this very particular moment. It's always EdTech Mondays, brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation, leading a solution-oriented national conversation that is connecting a policy, innovation, infrastructure, inclusion, and implementation realities in Uganda's EdTech ecosystem. I'm Sean Chimu. Thanks for watching NTV.
EdTech Mondays is brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with NTV Uganda.